So this year marks the 20-year anniversary of the PlayStation Network, which was introduced back in 2006 during the PS3 era. And a lot of people have loved the PlayStation Network for years, and with all the access to all the different games that you got along with the subscription service. But but yeah, it was announced not too long ago that Sony plans on phasing out the PlayStation Network, and it's not going to be like a total shutdown or anything, but they're ditching the name PlayStation Network and the branding, and it's probably going to be called something new. And they're going to reduce support for like PlayStation 4 games, and they're going to focus more on PlayStation 5 games, and I guess like certain like core online services are going to be available. But but yeah, the fact that you're not going to have access to PS4 games anymore, a lot of people feel like that's ridiculous considering the subscription costs is for what you have to pay for the PlayStation Network right now. Because you look at like the annual PlayStation Plus subscription cost, like for the essential, like yearly, it's like $80 for the extra, it's $135 for premium, it's 160 a year. And then for like monthly and quarterly pricing for the essential is $9.99 a month, or like 24 like 99 for like 3 months, or you have like extra and you have premium. You have different tiers, and the point is all these tiers are relatively expensive, especially considering like the cost of like the PlayStation 5 and the cost of a controller and accessories and video games themselves. Like the cost of all those have increased. Like the average like video game that you see in retail nowadays is like $69.99. And you have to I mean, you don't have to pay these subscription costs, but if you want a more advanced, gaming experience, you are urged to I guess, pay these subscription costs. But the thing is, one of the perks of having like PlayStation Plus and the PlayStation Network was having access to last generation video games. And the thing is, there was a handful of last gen video games from the PlayStation 4 era that people liked that they had access to. I'm talking about Marvel Spider-Man from 2018, God of War from 2018, Horizon Zero Dawn, um, a lot of games from that era that people were fond of. And you look at like how much those games sold. Most of the games are the top, tier games on the PS4 has sold more than the top tier games on the PlayStation 5. So it makes you wonder whether or not Sony has, or they're going to be like shooting themselves in the foot by making this change, because they're basically changing something that nobody really wanted to see disappear. And I wouldn't say there's like, online backlash or anything. It's just that people are more disappointed than ever, because you look at the top tier PS5 games. I mean, the only game that people really care about that I can think of off the top of my head is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Um, maybe Resident Evil 4, but that's a third party video game because it's developed by Capcom. Um, you have Horizon 5 or Forza Horizon 5, which I think that yeah, that's a third party game. That's an Xbox game. And and yeah, it's like for the most part, it seemed like they're trying to do away with like last gen and get you to focus more on the PlayStation 5. And it makes me wonder whether or not the PS6 is around the corner, because they wouldn't be doing this if the PlayStation 6 wasn't going to be coming out anytime soon. Now, I'm not saying it's going to come out anytime like this year or next year or anything like that, but the thing is, they must have plans for the PS6. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we got an announcement sometime like later this year, or like sometime early next year, anything like that. But honestly, like I- if I was a subscriber for like PlayStation Plus and I was paying like the price or any of the prices for any of the packages, and and then, like, I don't know, he got rid of, like, PlayStation 4 games or my access to last generation, video games, and I had to pay, like, I don't know, $160 a year or something like that. I'd be pissed off, to be honest with you, and the thing is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna end up being pissed off as well, and it might make them think twice about, keeping their subscription service with PlayStation Plus. But the thing is, I don't know. I honestly feel like PlayStation or Sony feel like they're in a position where they're not really threatened by, Nintendo or Xbox or anything like that because essentially the console war is over. Xbox is not really going to war with anyone. In fact, Xbox is committing to bringing their first party games to other consoles, and Nintendo is dealing with a ton of scrutiny and backlash as it is. I mean, recently, Nintendo had filed a lawsuit against the federal government over the tariff. So I don't know. Nintendo, for the most part, if they're not in the news in relation to their video games, there's always some type of controversy. But but for the longest time, it seemed like Sony and PlayStation was pretty much the it was like the number one console in gaming. It's been like that since the 2000s for the most part. Like Sony has always been considered number one, and I don't know. I guess Nintendo was number two. I think Xbox was number three, like during the 360 era. But for the most part, PlayStation was number one, and Nintendo was number two. And now that there's no console war, I honestly feel like Sony's in a position where they can pretty much do whatever they want, and unfortunately, getting rid of the PlayStation Network is one of them.